Greetings, everybody. Again, today is the October 25th, 2017. My name is Nicholas. I come to you from Serbia. Some of you may have seen my short presentations of Linux operating systems. I like to do screencasts from time to time to try and to get Linux operating systems and different Linux distributions closer to an average everyday user or even some more advanced users, because I believe in a transition from Windows to Linux. And the main reason is freedom. So, today I'm going to give you a short presentation of a gentoo based Linux distribution called Calculate Linux. Now, our friends, our dear Orthodox friends from Russia, actually first made gentoo Linux, which was kind of hard to comprehend for an average normal user who likes just mostly point and click, right? Now, the gentoo Linux is actually everything from the source. So basically, whatever you do with the gentoo since the installation, you have to go through a lot of trouble. You gotta have a little bit of advanced knowledge to install gentoo Linux on your PC machine and to configure it properly and to use it. And then 10 years ago came the first edition of this Calculate Linux. Now, Calculate Linux is gentoo made a little bit more simplified for an average user, but also offers all the options and all the freedom that comes with the gentoo distribution. Now, why I say freedom? Most of the Linux distros, especially the ones that are Debian based like Ubuntu or Linux Mint or actually Debian Linux, they are based on the Debian package management, Debian resources, and the software compiled for Debian primarily. Also all the other derivatives of Ubuntu or Linux Mint or Debian in general. Now, why I like different, well, I learned to like different Linux distros like gentoo based or even the Arch based or Slackware based, because of the freedom of compiling from the source, freedom of using whatever you want, however you want it, the freedom of customizing your own operating system, whether you want it to eat up all your resources from your computer and look fancy and nice, or you just want some simple things like I do. You see this desktop? It's XFCE4 desktop environment, which is really lightweight on your resources of your PC machine, but offers so many options. It looks simple. For me, it looks nice. I'm sure there's a lot of people who will agree with me that XFCE4 desktop takes you a little bit back in time, right, with visual look. But trust me, all the options that the XFC desktop environment offers, especially with a distribution like Calculate based on gentoo, it's really nice. Now, for gentoo Linux and Calculate Linux, you can get a graphical package manager like in other Linux distributions. Now, let's give it a shot. Let's compile it. I'm going to show you a row of simple commands how you install a piece of software. Now, we're going to switch to sudo mode or root mode, which in gentoo or Calculate you can get by typing in the terminal command su, like sudo, hitting the enter, and then give it your root password that you have set up during the installation of the system itself. Now, as I said before, installing gentoo is really hard for some people who haven't used Linux before or don't have any experience. Now, the Calculate Linux made it simple, especially with this edition, 10th anniversary. Calculate Linux came out, the version 17.6, And on their website, you can download the ISO images with different graphical desktop environments. Their primarily desktop environment that they use is KDE. Now you have different versions here. The second one in a row is Cinnamon Desktop, which I tested a couple of days ago. It really is nice, but I actually decided to go with the fourth one because it's my favorite one in every distribution of Linux, the XFC Desktop. Now this is only the looks and some of the options, right? The desktop manager that you choose. It also, of course, takes the file manager with itself. Now for the XFC Desktop, default file manager is Thunar, this version 1.6.10, and Thunar is a lot like Windows Explorer and File Manager, right? It's a desktop manager and file manager for Windows. Same here for the XFC Desktop. You get the Thunar File Manager, and it's with the options. It's pretty much the same like a Windows File Manager. So I think it's the most user-friendly file manager and desktop manager to switch to from Windows when you're making a transition from Windows to Linux. XFC Desktop, I think it's the most user-friendly. It reminds a lot on Windows XP or Windows 2000 even. I know some of you are going to say it's kind of retro or old, but actually I think that visually people can get the most habit and easiest way to learn with those kind of looks in the operating system. Now, as I said before, there is a graphical package manager which you can use to install your software, also in Gentoo and Calculate Linux. But I'm going to show you a set of simple commands, how to search for a package and how to install it. It's just two simple commands actually. Now let's say we want to install a graphical package manager for Calculate Linux, which by default in Gentoo and Calculate is called Portage or Portage. I'm not sure how to pronounce it in English. Let's say it's called Portage. Now, we're going to search for the package first, and the command for that is EIX space Portage. When we type enter, remember we are in the sudoers root mode. The first result that pops up here, it says app portage / portage utilities. Now, this result here, system apps portage or portage, it says that the package is there in the repositories on the repository server that was already chosen by you or by default with your installation. The second command to install the package would be emerge portage and hit enter. Now we're going to wait for it. It says local copy of remote index is up to date and will be used. There's an announcement that 3 new items need reading for repository Gentoo, and it also gives out a simple command that says use eSelect newsread to view new items. So basically you get all the hints of what to do next after you finish your package installing. And now it's emerging the binary and installing it. It downloaded it from the server, the package, the source. It was emerging it and installing it. It does record it, the log about installing, and if you give it an option, when you first configure your system, it gives you an auto cleaning package at the end of each emerging process. Now, we finished. We actually installed the Portage graphical package manager, and let's just give it a shot to search for it. Portage multimedia. Okay, let's try like this. Portage, no. Okay, let's call up on it. Later on, after a reboot, I think the icon will also appear in the sections of the your favorite softwares and programs. But since we are in the terminal in the sudoers root mode, we can just call up on the application. Oh, sorry, I made a mistake. We should install Porthole. That's the graphical user interface for package managing. My bad, folks. Okay, let's give it like this. Let's search for Porthole, EIX, Porthole, and it's there, and we can give it a command that's going to install it, emerge Porthole. And once again, sorry for my bad, it's searching up for the package. It's calculating the dependencies needed, dependencies like libraries and modules, things that go with this piece of software, with this package, and it depends on it for it properly to work. So the calculate and the gentoo does this automatically like every other distro. Okay, not every other. For some distributions of Linux, you are the one who need to install the dependencies for the software yourself. Otherwise, the software cannot work, or it will work but unstable, or it's going to give out an error or something. Now, since we are in the sudoers mode, we're going to search for the Porthole, but let's search it in the categories. Okay, here we go. Porthole is a portage front end. Now, the portage is a package management by default in the Gentoo or the Calculate Linux or any other Gentoo based distribution. The Porthole is a graphical user interface for a portage. It was my mistake, now I actually corrected myself. So we're gonna call up on it. Porthole. Pressing the enter, it's going to open up a graphical user interface. Here we go. It was the first time, so it took a little to open it. And now, Porthole. If you look at some other distributions, they have different graphical user interface for packaging and for installing your software and updates. Porthole resembles a lot, if some of you people know, the Slackware graphical user interface. I'm not sure how it's called, gslapt or slapget or something like that, but it resembles a lot just visually. Here on the left side you can find the categories of software that you have by default in your repositories, right, in your default repository in your operating system. And from here, from this section here, you can actually search for a piece of software like, let's say, Firefox. Find. And now here in the right section pan, you have two results. Client Firefox and Client Firefox bin. The top one is already installed. It says the version is 56.0 and the same version is installed. Right clicking on it, you can get the option unmerge, which will actually uninstall the package. The same thing goes for games, right, or video. You will get tons of results for all the software that's in the database on the server, and then you will actually the only obligation that you have, if you want your system to work stable and if you want this piece of software for yourself, you need to read about it a little bit to be sure that you are installing the right thing, right? But this is as easy as it gets, by my opinion, with a system like this. Okay, let's close this down. I have some things open here, so I'm going to close them. I have the volume control, right? I'm not sure about the audio that I will get, so I don't want the microphone bursting on our screencast session. I have the hex chat program. Okay. Да, и тебя привет, Николай. О, вам всем привет. It's my brothers from Russia. Спасибо. Voila. Okay, let's get back to our small review. I'm sure a lot of you guys exist out there that are really afraid to try to give it a shot with the Gentoo based distribution. I'm here doing this small screencast to actually try to encourage people to give it a shot. After a little bit of upgrading of my PC machine in this past couple of weeks, I just upgrade a little bit of RAM memory. I'm using nothing special, 6 gigs of RAM, Intel Core 2 Duo processor, and now I actually bought for myself a brand new SSD hard drive. Now this helped me really a lot with the speed, and this is where I actually discovered all the magic of the Gentoo. When I had the proper speed of my machine, Gentoo and Calculate, they used it really wisely and nice. I mean, my operating system is running really fast for all my needs. Second video is going to come up shortly, guys. Stay with me if you like my small presentations. Just click on the like button. You can subscribe. I'm not forcing anybody. I'm not making money out of this. Any money. This is primarily done because I love Linux. And now that I've actually discovered this world of Gentoo and Calculate Linux, I want to promote my Russian brothers who are actually a very good people, and they make good stuff. You know, a lot of good stuff comes from Russia, so maybe, world should, change their point of view actually about our Orthodox brothers. Okay, Russia and Serbia rule. We are brothers. Thank you guys from the Gentoo community. Thank you guys from the Calculate Linux community. Hope some of you see these videos and just figure out what I'm trying to do here. And I hope this short presentations bring a lot of people to start using Gentoo Linux, to realize the enormous vast of opportunities that this operating system offers. Ciao ciao guys, until the next video, stay cool.